just say that in the maritime industry, it is more or less an occurrence peculiar to Nigeria.
Okay.
I will not say it is regrettable. I will just say that commercial pressures are more or less responsible for these incidents. But first, before I actually go into the subject of safety, health, and the marine environment, it would be nice to give some kind of context.
Yes, okay, sir. Please do.
Yes. Many of us do not actually know that at the top of the maritime industry worldwide is an organization known as the Intergovernmental Maritime Consultative Organization.
Okay.
Known as IMO, International Maritime Organization. Together with the flag state of every country, of every maritime country, set out the regulations, the legislation that deals with safety and operation of ships. So they actually make the laws, they make the regulations, they make the codes. Okay? Down in that structure, we have the ship owner or the company owner, the people who buy and operate ships. And down in that structure, we have the masters and the crew or the seafarer. So that's how the structure is.
Okay.
That's how the structure of the maritime industry is. Now, at the operational level, you'll find that IMO and the flag state are really not involved. It is usually the ship owner and his crew.
Okay.
Okay. The ship owner and his crew. So that is how the structure is. Now, I don't know if that's where you want me to stop, but from legislation, we now go to operation on board the ship.
So what you're saying is that the regulation is what we get from IMO, and as flag state, NIMASA really has little or nothing to do in terms of operations of vessels and other activities within the marine environment.
No, they regulate.
They regulate.
But you also regulate.
Okay.
But if you do not regulate, it means anybody can just come in and do what they want. Regulate means that you don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a ship owner. Don't know if you understand me.
Yeah.
First, you must know about ships, shipbuilding, what they do, where you want to fly from port A to port B. You must know the geography of shipping or whichever area of maritime activity you want to get yourself involved in. You have to know your game. You understand?
Yes, sir.
That's how it is. You don't just wake up one day and say, I want to own a ship. Okay?
Okay.
The means that you have to be registered with the flag state. In this case, in the Wasa. Okay?
Yes, sir. I would like to know now, if you were to do like a safety analysis, let's say an incident happened, what scope, would that analysis cover? And why are those critical elements? For instance, are you just going to look at the human operation, or you're going to get even the equipment? Is there going to be an analysis of equipment, or whatever, what's the scope of safety analysis usually? Oh, hopefully.
Ships are unsinkable. Have a terrible weather or there's a mal-operation, then a ship can sink. As far as design and construction and operation of a ship is concerned today, you can hardly have any incident. But the human element is always a problem. Hence, the need for training and retraining. This is one ship owner apart from another. Training and training. Competency of the master, the chief engineer, the senior officers, and the ratings, collectively known as the seafarers. Very important. Training and rating, very important. You can't look, no matter how good a ship is, without properly trained and competent crew, that ship can do nothing. No matter how good the ship is, for example, it cannot move from B without competent engineers to man or operate machinery. So everything is really down to that human element.
I agree with you, sir, but as much as it's perceived that Nigeria seems to be doing some things in the area of training, many people still believe that we are doing less than average. Would you agree to that opinion? Or with that opinion?
Speaking from the point of view of AMES,
in the industry even.
Yeah, well, speaking from the point of view of AMES, our own opinion is this, is that in the past, we normally had the training officers. Every shipping company had training officers who oversee the training of every officer and every rating.
In-house.
To the point of competency.
Wow.
To the point of proficiency. To the point that working on board a ship is like second nature. Okay? Training to me are the missing link here. For the past 10 or 20 years, the shipping companies that we've come across in Nigeria, we never heard of training officers. The emphasis has always been on safety officer, but the safety officer operates in a shipboard environment. Yeah. The training officer is like covering both shoreside and shipside. Okay? Yes, he brings the two together and makes sure that new crew just gets on board the ship without knowing what is going there for. Very good. I think that's what it is. We don't seem to emphasize the importance and the need for training officers in shipping or ship owning companies.
That should be the job of the flag states, right?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I do know in the past, there was an organization called Nigerian Shipping Federation.
Okay.
Now, the Nigerian Shipping Federation that I knew then were very, very concerned with manning and competency of crew. Very manning and competency of crew. So that any crew that is employed on board a ship is already certified to be competent to handle the position it's going on board for. Nigerian Shipping Federation. I don't know what the equivalent is now in the Nigerian spectrum of the maritime. I guess the labor department in the Wasa should be overseeing this. I don't know, but that missing link of Nigerian Shipping Federation needs to be filled, or that gap needs to be filled.
fulfilled. And apparently, if that happens, we would also see a situation where the quality of our certification, is recognized internationally, because we've also once had seafarers come here, in on the show, and one of the things they complained about was that the world looks down on Nigerian certification, and if we do not make such efforts, would definitely not have the world reckon with this. Would that be right to say?
Again, yes and no. One thing we tend to overlook is what I call motivation.
Okay.
What is the motivation of those who want to go to sea? What is their motivation for wanting to be a seafarer? I don't know if you understand my point.
Please
It is
explain.
lay the emphasis on the ship owner and the regulators. Like in our own time, what motivated us for going to sea is first and foremost competency. You must know your ship. You must, in fact, being knowledgeable about equipment and the ship itself there's no replacement for it. But the same motivation with Nigerian seafarers of today, I don't think so. Their motivation seems to be money. Money will come if you know the job, not before that.
Wow. I agree with you. I agree with you, sir. I would punctuate our discussion.
Let me use the current case of the two vessels that were undergoing STS ship to transfer operation. So the two story that one of the crew that was involved in the accident was actually a catering crew. That is, he worked in the galley, not even on deck. All right? And desired to be promoted to a deck crew.
Yes.
The question is, what is motivating him to be a deck crew? When you don't know how to handle ropes, ordinary ropes, you don't know how to splice ropes, how to run ropes around fair leads or bullocks, or how to run ropes from the drum, which you don't know all those things, or you don't even know how ropes are stored in the first place. Nothing to do with that aspect of the operation. He doesn't know about it, and yet he wants to get, into the department.
So since you brought that up, yes, as much as he was not knowledgeable, competent, he had a supervisor who shouldn't have let him go near the mooring incident. Wasn't that the right thing to do?
And that's why we'll come back to the training aspect again. Okay. Now, who is the officer on board who has assured this galley boy that he should be promoted to a seafarer on deck? Who should make that recommendation? It should be the training officer.
Yeah.
Whoever is supervising that operation, of course, in this case, is culpable. I mean, he cannot run away from it. I'm just, but he ought to know that as far as safety is concerned, mooring, anchoring, mooring, casting up, all those type of are very serious operations, madam. Very, very serious. First of all, how to position yourself when such operation goes on is very, very important. And in a competent officer, seeing a mooring station and how the officers and crew involved in mooring are involved, will know immediately who is in the wrong position. By trainers, you will know when somebody is off position. For example, you don't stand where you know that there's a bight of a rope, because if that rope snaps, you're also going to snap. The rope into bits. That's how it is. Sorry if I'm extending the discussion, but that's
no, it's okay. It's okay. It's sad that the steward eventually lost his life in the process. But I would also like you to. You're speaking on behalf of the. So we really would like to know, in terms of the level of compliance to these safety regulations and conventions that Nigeria is a signatory to, how would you score us? What's the scorecard, in terms of our compliance level, given your work so far in the industry?
IMO comes up with some basic codes or regulations. There are three of them that are very, very core. I'll mention them, but I don't know if it's, if they are familiar to a lot of people. But first, you have marine pollution. We call it MARPOL.
Yeah.
Secondly, there is SOLAS.
Yeah.
SOLAS is short for Safety of Life at Sea.
Yeah.
And then you have STCW, which stands for Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping.
Yeah.
Okay. So those three codes are specific. One is on the environment that the ship operates in. Two is on the ship itself, how it should be designed, constructed, and the machinery level according to the type of ship or service. And three, the men who will operate the ship. So these are the three planks on which IMO and, of course, NEMASA, our flag state, are actually, core on. These three things, I will not know if NEMASA has domesticated them, but I think they should. Otherwise,
because departments who do them. Those areas supervising departments in NEMASA, so I guess we have domesticated them, but it's enforcement now, one would actually have loved to hear the opinion of AMES with regards to compliance level. Do we need to do more? Are we doing enough? Do we need to do more? Or, when we go to the field, what does AMES actually see at the field?
Well, I do not want to sound, like I'm a critic or anything. But again...
So you're moving our attention forward.
Sorry?
You're moving our attention forward.
Okay, well, the thing is... sorry?
Your opinion would help.
Yeah. The thing is this, again, we go back to the company or the owner of the ship. Okay? We always say this because the philosophy of the owner is very, very important. There are some owners that are offhand. All they want is money in their kitty. They're not interested. There are some owners that want to know everything from how a valve is open and closed, or how whether is being manipulated by the master, or how radio communication is being done and things like that. Hands-on owners.